Hello everybody, it's great to be here with you live and be able to ask or answer some of the many questions that are being brought up lately about my message and who I am. So the first question was, how did I get my name and what does that mean? I guess the first thing to say would be that I had no idea that I was little grandmother until I was 30. Growing up having a Native American mother, I attended several powwows, several meetings with the grandfathers, things like this. As a young child, I remember one instance in which I was sitting with my family of the Sioux tribe, and of course, being the little blonde white girl mixed in with all of my Native American family made me feel a little out of place, but at the same time I was completely intrigued by it. And I was quite young, I would say about 8 years old, when we sat and watched a very particular sacred ceremony that the grandfathers were doing, and the elders of the tribe, and they stopped. They stood up and they came and picked me up out of the crowd and sat me down and gave me a blessing. I had no idea what was happening at the time. Everything was spoken in Lakota, which I didn't understand very much about. Thinking back, I can remember little things like that happening, but it was kept very quiet until I was 30 years old, and I got a phone call saying that the indigenous tribes have been watching me grow up since I was a little girl, knowing that I would be the fair-haired child they would call little grandmother. So they knew and I didn't. It was pretty interesting to find out, getting that phone call, having them tell me that they knew that the grandmother's past had been teaching me, which indeed was happening. As a little girl, I didn't know where these voices were coming from. They always addressed me as child, and then they would teach me very, very specific lessons about the planet, about each other, about how to love in a bigger way, or how to respect nature, these sorts of lessons. And I had been receiving those since about 8 years old. And so to receive that phone call at 30 and them to say that we know you've been being taught by the other side, and that made me feel pretty good, because then I wasn't crazy. Somebody else knew what I was going through. They also brought up the fact that there was 11 other human beings on this planet who were receiving the same lessons since they were children, and we are called the wisdom keepers. And so we shared this, and so it was fantastic to find out there was people like me. But at age 30, I was called to be the shaman for the Sioux and Salish tribes, and to start my own tribe, which would be called the Tribe of Many Colors, for the planet, for the globe, for all of us to join as one. The Tribe of Many Colors would represent all of us, one heart, with one mother, one message, one tribe. So in becoming a shaman, that's not a very easy task. I am not one of these people who went to school to learn how to be a shaman. It's something that I've been initiated into since a very, very young age, and then at age 30 I accepted the calling, and we went through the rituals in which I became the shaman. A lot of fasting, a lot of prayer, a lot of offerings. And so to answer your question, where did I get the name Little Grandmother? After knowing all of these different indigenous tribes and cultures, they've said they've been waiting for me for a few hundred years, for the fair-haired child to come who would be called Little Grandmother. I received my sacred bundles, in which some of these things, the staffs, some of my medicine, are hundreds of years old. They were made hundreds of years ago for me and have been kept for this time. And so as soon as I did become little grandmother, the shaman, the wisdom keeper, medicine started coming to me from all over the planet, Australia, the different tribes of North America, Europe, the indigenous people from the north. So they knew I was coming before I did, and I just had to step into this and try to honor it and do the very, very best I can, which I'm still trying very hard, not to let anybody down. Before revealing some of the prophecies for this year, 2010, please tell us if you see any major things happening in the year 2012 and how human beings can prepare best for the coming changes. Are the major light waves coming from the sun? Well, those are some big questions. 2012, you know, everybody has something to say about that, it seems like, and there's all these books on 2012 and everybody talking about how the world's going to change and how the world's going to end. But please realize, only until a couple of months ago did our beloved grandfather Alejandro, Don Alejandro, is the grandfather of all of the Mayan people. He's the grandfather and the keeper of all of this wisdom from the Mayans. He has only spoke out in the last couple of months. Please realize that all of these books that are out there about 2012 are not from the Mayan people. These are books from different authors around the world and their ideas. But only a couple months ago has Grandfather Alejandro and his people been talking about what's going to happen. And so, really, all of this is speculation. What Grandfather Alejandro is really saying is, yes, our world is going to change. The world as we know it is going to end. But that's not a scary thing. It's something to be rejoicing about, that this way of being in our mind all of the time, for thousands of years now, we have joined organized religion, we have gone to war and become power hungry, and we've been fighting for everything that we want. Don Alejandro and the Mayan people have always stayed in the heart from the very beginning. They are the ancestors of Atlantis. They are the most ancient people on our planet right now, and this whole time they have stayed in the heart. They know how to live their life from their feelings and from their emotions and making decisions from the heart. And now they're bringing that message back to us and saying, we must change the way we are acting, or we are going to kill our Mother Earth, and we are going to kill each other. We must go back and start living from the heart. Now, if you can think for a moment, if unified consciousness joins that heart consciousness, and we stop being a people living from our brains all the time, power, greed, and start living from our hearts and really loving one another, it is going to change our planet. We will be living in a new way. And so, yes, the end of the world as we know it. This doesn't mean everything is going to be destroyed. Of course, there is going to be, as Mother Earth shifts and turns, and we all know that the Mayans have been telling us for centuries that the poles are going to shift. That's an actual fact. It is happening right now. Due north is not due north anymore. For the first time on our planet's history, migrating birds are getting lost. Due north is not north anymore. The serpent of light and life is on the move. Mother Earth's energies are literally shifting. And when the big shift happens, which I believe as a unified whole, the wisdom keepers and the grandfathers are saying, yes, Mother Earth is going to shift. Things are going to move, and yes, this will change our landscape a bit. But we're all going to go through an enormous change. It doesn't mean a ton of suffering. It doesn't mean war in our streets. What's going to change is the energy on our planet, the energy within us. Our consciousness will rise. We will be more intuitive and more loving. And so, yes, our world is going to change dramatically. And yes, there's going to be some planetary shifts. But when in our lives have we not dealt with planetary shifts already? And so I ask the viewers to take a deep breath. Do not give your energy to worrying about what could happen. Instead, give your energy to knowing that we live in such a miraculous time on our planet in which we get to see our planet become her own heaven. And we get to see all of us unify in a heart consciousness, raise our awareness, and use our minds and our hearts and our consciousness to create a better world. You expect many things to be revealed already this year, 2010. What are the most important ones? Well, everybody asks this question. Of course, we're human beings and we always want to know what's going to happen. First and foremost, what I would like to say is we, the human beings, every single one of us have free will and choice. And because we have free will and choice, the outcome of tomorrow can always change. But as a collective whole, we the wisdom keepers, the grandfathers, the elders, we see many great possibilities for 2010. We see things happening in discoveries, medical discoveries, in which we can help heal the masses. We can extend and prolong life without suffering. The elderly, their bones getting stronger. New technologies will come forth in which we can remain healthier and stronger and happier people. That being said, I also know for a fact, because I can see these things, new energies are coming to our planet. New, beautiful, miraculous energies coming from the great everything down to our planet. The trees vibrate more. The earth herself vibrates more. There are new energies coming. They are pouring down upon us. And they started, I noticed them starting right around last year with the Return of the Ancestors gathering. We are also placing new, very powerful, very sacred crystals into the ground to rebuild and strengthen the ley lines that already exist in Mother Earth, but to also give her new, powerful ley lines as she shifts to be strong and healthy. And of course, when our mother is strong and healthy, we are strong and healthy. There's a lot going to happen this year. Truths are going to come out, ancient truths that have been hidden from us, the common people, are going to start coming out, because as consciousness rises, lies and ugliness cannot stay. They will have to break apart, and these truths will come out and be known to the public. So in 2010, it's an exciting year. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for the changes. I'm excited that power, religion, and big money are going to start to crack. And when those start to crack, truths come out, and we will realize that we've been misled by a lot. And when you are shaken, when your foundation is shaken, and when everything you thought you were following was truth, then you have to question yourself, what is true for me? What is true for my life here? And that's where I would ask each and every one of you to ask yourselves, because religion is man-made, what makes you whole? What makes you happy? What connects you to the great everything out there? I say to you now, you are the great I am. You are the creator. I am the creator. You have every potential and every right. It is your birthright to create the world you wish to live in. And it is being asked of us, the strongest of the strong who are living on the planet now, to create another world, to remember who we are, to remember our hearts, to remember that through loving each other, we can truly create a new world around us. Can you tell us more about this project of placing crystals, and perhaps also what is your connection to the crystals and where they are placed? That's a good question. Well, these